Hello. This video is going to show you how to create a trade-weighted currency index. And the first step in creating a trade-weighted currency index is you need exchange rate data. And what I've done here is I've downloaded exchange rate data for 4 different currencies: the euro dollar, the British pound dollar, Canadian dollar to the US dollar, and then Mexican peso to the dollar. And I downloaded month-end exchange rates, so all of the months for 2017, and I've got the exchange rates right here. So that's step one. Step two, create your index and select a base period. So the base period in this case is going to be January. So I'm going to go over here, and then I'm going to take January euro data and divide it by January euro data. And then I'm going to put a dollar sign right in front of the two. So when I autofill this down, all of the months will be divided by January. And the same thing goes for the pound, the Canadian dollar, and the Mexican peso. So I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to autofill across. Now watch this. All of it is 1. And then when I autofill down, for example, in May for the euro, if I click in here, you could see it takes the May number as the numerator, B6, and divides it by the base period, January. And that's the same thing for all of this data. So once your indexes have been created, the next thing you got to do is select weights for your index. Now the weights in this case is going to be based upon trade. So for example, these are weights that I just made up. And what we're saying is so all of the exports that go to these 4 countries, from the United States to these 4 countries, 28% of that total is from Mexico, 35% is from Canada, 15% is from Great Britain, and then finally 22% is to Europe. These are my weights. And applying the weights is quite simple. I'm just going to take I'm not going to do anything for the base period. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just put the base period in like this. So January, I do not apply the weights. For February, I do apply the weights. So I'm going to type in equals. I'm going to select the base period right here, and then I'm going to multiply it times the weight. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to put a dollar sign in front of the 1. And what I've just done is I've taken the change from January to February, and I applied the weight of 22%. Now if I go across like this, you could see for the Mexican peso, I've done the same thing. I've taken the February index value for the Mexican peso and then applied this weight, multiplied it. Now all I've got to do is autofill that down, and I've applied all of my weights. I've taken October for the euro, multiplied by this weight, and then the final step is to sum this up, and that's going to be your index. So my trade weighted currency index, right? Trade weighted currency index is simply going to be the sum of all these numbers. So the January number is still going to be 1, right? And then I'm going to sum this up. I'm going to sum these 4 up like so. I'm going to autofill that down. And this is my trade weighted. I'm going to center it here. Center it and make it bold so you can see it. That's my currency index right there. So what I can do is I could just take my data here. I'm going to do my months. And then I'm going to, right next to it, I'm going to put my trade weighted data right here. I'm going to autofill that down. Let me make this look a little nicer by adjusting the, and then I'm going to graph it. Insert a nice little line graph. And there's my trade weighted index. I could adjust the this to, let me make this a little wider so you can see here. Oops, sorry, hold on one second. I'm going to go here. I'm going to change this scale here. I'm going to make it to go a low of 9 and a high of 1, 2, and I'm going to have a major index moving of 1, and that looks a little bit better. And that's good for now. So as you can see, the dollar, so $1, excuse me, in this particular case, the dollar is weakening as we go here up to this point, then it's strengthening a little bit here the way we have it here. But that's how we create this trade weighted here. You apply the weights to an index. And so if we were to include more data here, new data, all of the weights would be applied automatically, and you would see how this currency is faring against 4 currencies instead of just 1. So that's how you create a trade weighted currency index.